She stormed into the aisle with fiery indignation, her pointed manicured nails trembling as she screamed, "I saw her stuff it in her bag. She's stealing." The bustling Target store in Atlanta, Georgia came to a screeching halt. Shoppers froze in their tracks, their eyes darting toward the commotion. At the center of the chaos stood Karen Thompson, a middle-aged white woman whose piercing voice echoed through the store, pointing a condemning finger at Camille Adams, a poised and confident black woman in her early 30s. Camille stood there, shocked and confused, clutching her reusable shopping bag. "Excuse me?" "I didn't steal anything," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and frustration. But Karen wasn't backing down. "Security!" she bellowed. "We need security now! I'm not letting her get away with this!" What unfolded next would stun everyone in the store and ripple far beyond those automatic doors. Nobody, least of all Karen, was ready for what Camille was about to reveal. Camille had walked into the store that afternoon with her 3-year-old daughter, Amara, nestled in a stroller. She was on her lunch break, hoping to pick up a few groceries and baby supplies before heading back to her job at a nearby nonprofit organization. Camille, a Harvard graduate and community leader, was accustomed to microaggressions, but had never been so blatantly accused of something so vile. Karen, on the other hand, had been shopping for a new set of wine glasses. Spotting Camille in the electronics section, she immediately zeroed in on her. To Karen, Camille's simple t-shirt, ripped jeans, and natural afro hairstyle screamed suspicious. Her mind raced with assumptions, each one more toxic than the last. When Camille reached into her bag to retrieve a shopping list, Karen's eyes widened. "Oh no, she's putting something in there," Karen muttered to herself. Fueled by her bias, she trailed Camille for several aisles, watching her every move, ready to pounce. As security guards approached, the tension in the store grew unbearable. Camille's daughter began to cry, her wails cutting through the tense air. "Ma'am, please step aside," one guard said firmly to Camille. "What?" No exclamation mark, Camille protested. "You can check my bag, I have nothing to hide." Karen, emboldened by the presence of the guards, crossed her arms smugly. "See, I told you she was stealing. People like her always are." "People like me?" Camille snapped, glaring at Karen. "What exactly do you mean by that?" By now, a crowd of onlookers had formed, their phones out, capturing every second. Camille held her ground, her heart racing but her resolve firm. "Check my bag," she insisted, her voice unwavering. The guard hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the unfolding spectacle but unable to ignore Karen's demands. The guard unzipped Camille's bag and carefully sifted through its contents. Diapers, a sippy cup, baby wipes, and a neatly folded receipt were all they found. "Ma'am," the guard addressed Karen, "there's nothing here to suggest she's stolen anything." Karen's face turned beet red. No, you must have missed something," she stammered. "I saw her." At this moment, Camille pulled out her phone, her fingers trembling. "You're accusing me of shoplifting in front of my daughter, embarrassing me in front of all these people. And for what? Your own prejudice?" She opened a recording she had started the moment Karen began following her. "Let's hear exactly what you said." The video played Karen's voice loud and clear. "She doesn't belong here, I'm watching her. I'll catch her." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's condescending tone was unmistakable. The store manager rushed over, her face pale as she assessed the unfolding crisis. "Miss Adams," she said apologetically, "I am so sorry for this misunderstanding. Please, allow us to make this right." But Camille wasn't done. "This isn't just a misunderstanding," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This is systemic racism on full display. You allowed her accusations to escalate without evidence. My daughter is crying, and I'm being treated like a criminal because of the color of my skin." The crowd murmured in agreement. "She's right," a young black man said, stepping forward. "This happens all the time, and nothing ever changes." Karen, still standing rigid, tried to defend herself. "I was just trying to protect the store. You never know these days." Camille raised her hand, silencing Karen's weak justification. "You didn't see a thief. You saw a black woman and assumed the worst. That's on you, not me. The incident could have ended there, but fate had other plans. Among the crowd stood a local reporter, Jasmine Cole, who worked for a prominent news station in Atlanta. Sensing a powerful story, she approached Camille and introduced herself. "Miss Adams," Jasmine said, "would you be willing to share your side of the story on camera? The world needs to see how often this kind of thing happens." Karen's smug expression faltered. "Wait, what? You're putting her on the news?" Camille nodded. "Yes, I'll talk. Because this isn't about just me, it's about every black woman who's been treated as less than simply because of who they are." Within hours, the story was trending online. The hashtag #Justice for Camille exploded across social media, with thousands of people condemning Karen's behavior and praising Camille's courage. Karen's life took a drastic turn. By the next morning, her face was plastered across every major news outlet. Her employer, a high-end real estate firm, issued a public statement condemning her actions and announced her termination. "Racism has no place in our company," the statement read. Camille, however, wasn't focused on Karen. She was working with civil rights organizations to push for better training for retail employees and security staff. "This isn't just about me," she said in an interview. "This is about creating a safer environment for everyone." 2 weeks later, Camille received an unexpected message from the CEO of Target. He invited her to a meeting to discuss implementing bias training for all employees nationwide. Camille agreed, but on one condition. She wanted to bring representatives from her nonprofit to ensure the training addressed real-world issues effectively. The meeting was a success. Within months, Target rolled out a comprehensive program designed to educate employees about unconscious bias and systemic racism. Camille's face became a symbol of change, appearing in public service announcements and community events. Karen disappeared from the public eye, her social media accounts deleted, her once flourishing career in ruins. Camille, on the other hand, thrived. Her nonprofit gained national attention, securing funding to expand its programs. As for Amara, she grew up knowing her mother was a fighter. Camille often told her, "When someone tries to silence you, speak louder. When they try to break you, stand taller." And so, what began as a day of humiliation ended as a story of triumph. A reminder that courage in the face of injustice can inspire change far beyond what anyone might expect. Months after the incident, Camille had moved on with her life, channeling her energy into her nonprofit work and the newly launched bias training initiatives with Target. The viral story had brought her recognition, but she remained humble, focused on the bigger picture. One evening, as she was preparing dinner for her daughter, a knock at the door interrupted her. She wasn't expecting anyone. Wiping her hands, she opened the door cautiously to find a young woman standing there, her blonde hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Camille recognized her instantly. It was Karen's daughter, Emma. "Miss Adams?" Emma's voice trembled. Her eyes were swollen, as if she'd been crying. I need to talk to you." Camille hesitated but noticed the desperation in Emma's expression. She stepped aside, allowing the young woman in. Emma sat at Camille's dining table, wringing her hands nervously. "I want to apologize for what my mother did," she began. "It was wrong, and I'm so sorry for everything you went through." Camille nodded, her expression softening. "I appreciate that, but why are you here now?" Emma took a deep breath, tears pooling in her eyes. "Because my mother's actions weren't random. She didn't just accuse you because of what you looked like. She targeted you specifically." Camille's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Emma pulled out a worn envelope from her bag and slid it across the table. "This is a letter my mother wrote to me after everything happened. She confessed that she knew who you were. Years ago, my father, her husband, had an affair. The woman he was with was your mother." The room fell silent. Camille felt the air leave her lungs, her mind racing as she processed Emma's words. "My mother found out about the affair but never confronted your mother or my dad," Emma continued, her voice cracking. Instead, she harbored this deep hatred. When she saw you that day, she recognized you immediately. She had seen photos of you as a child, photos my father had hidden. She accused you out of spite, out of some twisted need to hurt you for something you had nothing to do with. Camille's hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter from Karen, filled with resentment and bitterness. Karen admitted to following Camille's career and resenting her success. "You represent everything I hate about him," one line read. "His betrayal, his lies, and now you're thriving while my life feels empty." Camille's initial reaction was anger. How could someone hold on to such hatred for so long? But as she read further, she saw glimpses of Karen's pain, how the betrayal had shattered her self-worth and fueled her toxic behavior. Emma wiped her tears. "I don't expect forgiveness for my mother. She's broken and refuses to admit she needs help. But I came here because I believe in what you're doing, and I want to help. I want to join your nonprofit, if you'll let me." Camille stared at the young woman, her emotions swirling. She had every reason to slam the door on this part of her life. But then she thought of Amara, of the world she wanted to create for her daughter, a world where understanding and compassion triumphed over hate. "Emma," Camille said finally, her voice steady, "you can't change what your mother did. But if you're serious about making a difference, I'm willing to give you a chance." Emma's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Camille said, "because breaking this cycle starts with us." The news of Camille and Emma working together spread quickly, reigniting interest in the story. Interviews flooded in, with Emma openly sharing her journey of unlearning the prejudices she had grown up with, and Camille standing by her as an advocate for redemption. Karen, still reeling from the fallout of her actions, was forced to confront her demons. Seeing her daughter and the woman she had wronged standing united became an unexpected turning point. Months later, Karen reached out to Camille, not for forgiveness, but to seek help for herself. Camille agreed, on the condition that Karen attend therapy and publicly acknowledge her actions. Years later, Camille's nonprofit grew into a national movement, with Emma as one of its leading advocates. Together, they launched initiatives to address generational biases, teaching people to confront their prejudices and heal from past traumas. Camille often reflected on the strange twists of fate that had brought her and Emma together. What had started as an act of hatred had transformed into a story of growth, understanding, and forgiveness. As for Karen, she remained a controversial figure but used her platform to speak out against the very biases she once perpetuated. Her transformation, though imperfect, became a symbol of hope for those who believed people could change.